Hey everyone, this is Derek here, and in this video I'm going to be talking about render distance and whether it's the same or isn't the same across platforms. So first off, obviously I don't know the results of this test before I'm making this video, however I really do hope that it's the same. So we're going to be comparing Android and iOS. So I have an iPhone and I also have an Android phone. And for those of you wondering about Tencent Gaming Buddy or any other emulator, well, they emulate an Android device, so I can't imagine there'd be any difference between there. If there is, let me know in the comments. However, we're going to assume, because again, it's emulated Android, that it's the same as any other Android device. So in future videos, we're going to be definitely testing out, does render distance become impacted by your graphical settings? It used to be, however, I'm pretty sure it doesn't anymore. So we'll test that out later, but for now, I just want to introduce you guys to the concept of render distance and test whether or not it's the same across platforms. So we're on an Android phone right now, and for those of you wondering what render distance is, it's basically the distance at which this ground cover actually starts to show up. So you can see as I back up here, I'm backing up very slowly while I'm scoped in. See how there's all this grass and stuff on this side of the road, and there's no grass over here. And then there actually is grass there. I just can't see it in my game. So see how I'm moving forward, and then now the grass is starting to show up. This is why I said in a pro tip video, never just go prone in the grass, because somebody with, for example, a 6x scope and this MK can easily snipe you. Especially if you're beyond the render distance, they'll just see you as a black little rectangle thing out here, and they can easily shoot you and kill you, and you wonder how they saw you when you were hiding in the grass and you couldn't see anything. Well, that's why, because they were beyond your render distance. So that's what render distance is, and again, that's why I always recommend taking cover behind things that always show up, like rocks or bushes. These will show up as far as you do. So the render distance for people in the game is about, I think, 400 meters or so. So these rocks and bushes and stuff will show up just as far away as that. That way, you can see here's a rock and stuff way out here. That way you can hide behind those and you don't have to worry about getting spotted. But the grass, totally different story. So now that I've explained what render distance is, let's figure out how far it is on training mode. So we'll go ahead, use enemies ahead. That's just a nice command because it tells us how far away something is across the ground. You can see about 148 meters, so we're going to round up and say 150 meters. So this is the first part of the video. We know that an Android device renders out to 150 meters. Now I'll switch to an iOS device and we'll find out whether or not it's the same. Hopefully it is. So here we go. I'll be back with you guys in just a second. Alright, so I know we lost in-game sound and the aspect ratio is a little different, but don't worry, that's not really important. Like I said, all we're doing right now is comparing the render distance. So we're on an iPhone now, and pretty much in the same spot. Again, doesn't really matter because we're going to be using enemies ahead to measure the distance. And again, you can see there were no blades of grass, ground cover across the road, and now there is. As I move forward, you can see I'm generally in the same spot. So let's go ahead and do enemies ahead on the grass, and hopefully it'll be 148 meters or so, 150, and 149. Okay, perfect. So very much as we expected, it looks like the render distance is indeed the same across platforms. So I'd imagine, like I said, because Tencent Gaming Buddy is basically just an emulator for an Android phone or an Android tablet on your PC, I'd imagine that very much the same as the Android, which is about 148, 149. So we're going to round to 150 meters and say that if you are further away than that, be aware that the grass and any other ground cover, especially important in Sonic, is not going to render. So I think another future video idea will be testing the render distance across all maps, because right now we're in training mode, it's about 150, and I'm pretty sure that's what it is in Erangel too. But on Miramar or Sonic, perhaps because the maps have different textures in them, perhaps because the density of the ground cover is different, maybe the render distance is shorter or longer. So if you're enjoying this sort of video, I think this is very helpful, honestly, because if you know how far away somebody is, then you know right away whether or not hiding in the grass is a good idea or not. Generally, it's not a good idea because if anybody's further away than that render distance, again, you are a very, very, very easy kill. And hide behind a tree or a rock or in a bush or anything else in a house, anything other than just prone on the grass, because again, just not a good idea as far as being able to survive. So my name's DerekG. If you enjoyed the video, if you want to see more content like this, definitely give it a thumbs up. It really does help the channel grow, and consider subscribing if you haven't already for, well, tons more PUBG Mobile content. I hope to see you on the battlefield soon, or in my Discord server, which I'll also leave a link to down below. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. I also have a Twitter page as well as a Twitch page that I'm setting up. So there's nothing on there yet, but don't worry, I'll be using it mostly for notifications and communicating with you guys. So I'll also leave those in the top of the description if you want to check those pages out too.